Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Starting. We're already live, so just giving it a minute so we can start. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Lord Jesus. All right. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Bridge Network City Church Canada. We'll be starting broadcast in a minute. I want to thank you for being here and making time to be with us this morning. It's going to be 9 o'clock in a few seconds. So while we're here, let me just welcome you to the Bridge Network City Church. Welcome to the Bridge Network City Church, Canada. Our vision is outstanding life and service to God, transforming the world and for the world. And we know that you will stay for the kingdom. And connecting to each other, to community, and of course to God. Vancouver, Canada. I know I need to correct that. Welcome. Forgive me. I know I need to correct that, and we will. So anyway, thank you for being here. I'm just this is our first hybrid service. So well, we don't have anybody here yet, but we're confident that as our marketing improves and our app is ready, we'll be able to get in touch with people here in Abbotsford where we're located. So thank you for being here this morning again. Our topic is very clear. It's adapt, overcome, and thrive. And we're going to pray in a minute. I just wanted to just share some thoughts with you, and then we can go from there. I think it was yesterday or day before yesterday, one of the ministers in the United Kingdom announced programs to help people in England who are struggling with rising costs of electricity and fuel. And it was really kind of profound in the sense that this whole thing, this Ukraine war, COVID, is having a global effect on all of us. And the need for us to adapt, overcome, and thrive becomes, for me, something we need to take our time to look at. And there's a parallel series taking place back at home, but in Nigeria, but we have to adapt to where we find ourselves. And that's what I want to zero in on this morning. And I'm going to be focusing on a particular word, which is something that has to do with strategy. And that's exactly what I want us to look at, this concept of strategy. It's from an article called The Best Ways to Learn is to Adapt to Changing Times. And it's so important that we look at this. Whether you like it or not, the world has changed, and you have to change with it. I have to change with it. We can't stand on our grounds and say, I'm not going to change. It's like when winter comes. It's been hot in the last few weeks or months in Canada. It's pretty hot. As a matter of fact, it's hotter than my home country. And yet it's amazing how it's going to be unbelievably cold in a few months' time. One could stand on one's ground and says, well, it was hot, so why should it be cold? And things like that. That argument doesn't hold any water. So let's pray. I just want us to do that for a bit as we step into this world. I just want us to pray. And I want us to be in agreement that God will help you and I to make the change that we need right now. It's scary. It's really ridiculous. I saw some of our power bills here, and they were way ahead of what I thought it would be because we're using more air conditioning, and of course when the cold starts, we're going to use more heating bills, and then of course the price of fuel has gone up, and generally the price of goods and services are just going up everywhere. Father, we do need help. We do need help. We're depending on you. We're asking you to help us, to teach us, to show us. Father, whatever is lacking in our faith, whatever we need to know, whatever we don't know that we need to know right now, whatever we need to understand in this season, I'm asking you, have mercy on us. Bring us to that place in the name of the Lord Jesus. Thank you, Lord Jesus. Well, thanks for being here. I'm going to walk through my notes, and you see where I'm going. I may not prefer a specific solution to where you are living right now, but one of the things I'm going to do is point you in the right direction. I remember listening to Sam Adeyemi a few months ago, and one of the things he said was, because he ministers to hundreds of thousands, even millions of people, he says you tend to cut the same size of solution for everybody, and it doesn't really work that way. People need to be ministered, which is why we have direct counseling. That's why we can talk to individuals. That's why the solution to one person's marriage is not the same as the solution to somebody else's marriage. And these things become, and so when you teach like this, it's trying to help people to find a way to apply it to their lives, to come to a place where they can actually say, you know what, I can apply this. And that's what I want to try and do this morning. It's a bit of a, because this first service is usually focused on professionals and businesses and entrepreneurs. So I'm going to be a bit more like business-like in my approach, but I will get to scriptures in a minute if you're patient with me. Now, businesses that have adapted to and adopted the profound changes are the ones that are not only surviving, but outperforming their competitors. And it says these businesses are led by owners who were able to learn how to write with the other hand. I usually call that ambidextrous calling. I have a whole message on that, and I'm probably going to touch on it as we go on this week. And I love the quote by Alvin Toffler: the illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read or write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. Now, this is so important, and it's so fundamental for us. We have to change. We have to adapt. And that's what this whole month is about. It's getting us to adapt, getting us to say, listen, I've been going along this run. Last week, I think we spoke about the fact that even animals adapt. But the difference between animals and human beings is human beings can apply knowledge, and therefore you adapt purely by instinct. It's a natural thing that God has put in you to adapt. But we can take it a step further through animal. I'll give an example that if an animal, if the weather gets, like we're having climate change, some animals will develop thicker furs to be able to handle the cold that is coming, you know. But human beings have the opportunity to make clothes and make jackets and make blankets, and that way they adapt without necessarily changing their DNA or their. And so this is the struggle we have. And as human beings, you and I must get to a place where we must understand that we need to change. We need to change, whether we like it or yes. And this is what this is all about. Adapt to win. Adapt to win. Adapt. I'm not interested in survival. I found out that survival is a very dangerous place to be. Survival is in between not drowning and just breathing. I'm more interested in adapting to win. And this particular article talks about the fact that you need strategies to win. And the biggest challenge I have is that people's description or understanding of what strategy is has become a big problem for everybody. And so I stumbled on this YouTube video by this gentleman. He's a professor. I've forgotten his name, but it will come up as we go along. And he quickly explains that a plan is not a strategy. A plan is not a strategy. And so I want him to help us define what a strategy is, and then we'll come back and then we'll discuss it, if that's okay with you. All right? A plan is not a strategy. It's from the Harvard Business Review. I put the links in the body of the message, so please, it's a bit long, it's about 8 to 10 minutes, so please just be patient and let's walk through this. It's very important that we understand this concept. God bless you.
This thing called planning has been around for a long, long time. People would plan out the activities they're going to engage in. More recently, has been a discipline called strategy. People have put those two things together to call something strategic planning. Unfortunately, those things are not the same, strategy and planning. So just putting them together and calling it strategic planning doesn't help. What most strategic planning is in the world of business has nothing to do with strategy. It's got the word, but it's not. It's a set of activities that the company says it's going to do. We're going to improve customer experience. We're going to open this new plant. We're going to start a new talent development program, a whole list of them. And they all sound good. But the results of all of those are not going to make the company happy because they didn't have a strategy. So what's a strategy? A strategy is an integrated set of choices that positions you on a playing field of your choice in a way that you win. So there's a theory. Strategy has a theory. Here's why we should be on this playing field, not this other one. And here's how on that playing field, we're going to be better than anybody else at serving the customers on that playing field. That theory has to be coherent. It has to be doable. You have to be able to translate that into actions for it to be a great strategy. Planning does not have to have any such coherence. And it typically is what people in manufacturing want, the few things. They want to build a new plant, and the marketing people want to launch a new brand, and the talent people want to hire more people. There tends to be a list that has no internal coherence to it and no specification of a way that that is going to accomplish collectively some goal for the company. The planning is quite comforting. Plans typically have to do with the resources you're going to spend. So we're going to build a plant. We're going to hire some people. We're going to launch a new product. Those are all things that are on the cost side of businesses. Who controls your costs? Who's the customer of your costs? The answer is you are. You decide how many square feet to lease, how many raw materials to buy, how many people to hire. Those are more comfortable because you control them. A strategy, on the other hand, specifies an outcome, a competitive outcome that you wish to achieve, which involves customers wanting your product or service enough that they will buy enough of it to make the profitability that you'd like to make. The tricky thing about that is that you don't control them. You might wish you could, but you can't. They decide, not you. That's a harder trick. So that means putting yourself out and saying, here's what we believe will happen. We can't prove it in advance. We can't guarantee it, but this is what we want to have happen and that we believe will happen. It's much easier to say, I'll build a factory I will hire more people, etc., then I will have customers end up liking our offering more than those of competitors. The tricky thing about planning is that while you're planning, chances are at least one competitor is figuring out how to win. When US air carriers were busily planning, what routes to fly and there was this little company in Texas called Southwest that had a strategy for winning. And, at first that looked largely irrelevant because it was tiny. What Southwest Airlines was aiming for was an outcome. What they wanted to be is a substitute for Greyhound, a way more convenient way to get around at a price that wasn't extraordinarily much greater than a Greyhound bus. Southwest said everybody else is flying hub and spoke. They have hubs and they fly hub and spoke. We're going to fly point to point so that we don't have aircraft waiting on the ground because you only make money when you're in the air. We're going to only fly 737s, one kind of aircraft, so that our gates are set up for those, our systems are set up for those, our training, our simulations are set up. We're not going to offer meals on the flights because we're going to specialize in short flights. We're not going to book through travel agents. We're going to encourage people to book online because that's less expensive for everybody and more convenient. So their strategy ended up being having a substantially lower cost than any of the major carriers so that they could offer substantially lower prices. Because it had a way of winning, it got bigger, and then bigger, and then bigger, and then bigger, and bigger, and bigger, and bigger, until it flies the most passenger seat miles in America. The major carriers were not trying to win against one another. They were all playing to play, as I say. They were playing to participate. Maybe buy more planes, get more gates, maybe grow some, not having a theory of here's how we could be better than our competitors. And that was fine until somebody came along and said, here's a way to be better than everybody else for this segment. And so that segment then goes, it's gone. And the main playing to play players have to share a smaller pie that's left over after Southwest takes whatever share it wants. If you're trying to escape this planning trap, this comfort trap of doing something that's comfortable but not good for you, how do you start? The most important thing to recognize is that strategy will have angst associated with it. It'll make you feel somewhat nervous because as a manager, chances are you've been taught you should do things that you can prove in advance. You can't prove in advance that your strategy will succeed. You can look at a plan and say, well, all of these things are doable. Let's just do those because they're within our control, but they won't add up to much. In strategy, you have to say, if our theory is right about what we can do and how the market will react, this will position us in an excellent way. Just accept the fact that you can't be perfect on that and you can't know for sure. And that is not being a bad manager, right? That is being a great leader because you're giving your organization the chance to do something great. The second thing I do is say, lay out the logic of your strategy clearly. What would have to be true about ourselves, about the industry, about competition, about customers for this strategy to work? Why do you do that? It's because you can then watch the world unfold, right? And if something that you say is in the logic that would have to be true for this to work is not working out quite the way you hoped, it'll allow you to tweak your strategy. And strategy is a journey. What you want to have is a mechanism for tweaking it, toning it, and refining it so it gets better and better as you go along. Another thing that helps with strategy is not letting it get overcomplicated. It's great if you can write your strategy on a single page. Here's where we're choosing to play. Here's how we're choosing to win. Here are the capabilities we need to have in place. Here are the management systems. And that's why it's going to achieve this goal, this aspiration that we have. Then you lay out the logic, what must be true for that all to work out the way we hope. Go do it and watch and tweak as you go along. That may feel somewhat more worry-making, angst-making than planning, but I would tell you that if you plan, that's a way to guarantee losing. If you do strategy, it gives you the best possible chance of winning.
Hey, AJ, what do you think?
Well, it's interesting to see the point of view. Well, it kind of reminds me of Against the Covey's 7 Habits, where it says begin with the end in mind.
End in mind, yeah, that's interesting.
Looking at outcomes rather than the way to do things. That was my big take from here. That was something.
Yeah, okay. Before we, again, that's what I'm trying not to rush this topic, because trying to make people understand, or even make myself, I'm in Canada, as you know, and I was about to jump into Facebook adverts. I was about to jump into, Google hashtag words. I was about to make videos for the church. And all of a sudden it hit me that I didn't have an overall strategy established. I don't know if you get my point.
Yeah.
I was just going to jump into the whole thing. And so I wanted us to talk about strategy slightly from the biblical point, because somebody's going to say, is this biblical? And two clear examples come to my mind. The first one is David, when he had to fight Goliath. Remember how Saul gave him his, first and foremost, they didn't want him to fight because of his age. And of course, his size in comparison to Goliath, because in those days, champions were people who represented a whole nation. And once that champion fails, the whole nation has failed. So they were trying to, first and foremost, protect themselves. Of course, everybody was scared, so nobody wanted to come out. And so David says, I'll do it, but he gives his credentials. I fought a bear, I fought a lion, and so on and so forth. Sorry, I'm not showing scriptures. It will just delay the chain of thought. But you can find all this in the Bible, in Kings, First Kings, I think, and the Chronicles. So anyway, he finally decides he wants to fight Goliath, and Saul now gives him his own strategy, his own way of doing things. He says, giving you my armor, the best armor in the country, you got to use it. And David says, I'm sorry, I'm not used to this kind of strategy. I've come up with a strategy by which I'm going to fight Goliath, knowing that he's bigger than me, stronger than me. I can't beat him in a sword fight, strength-wise, height-wise, energy-wise, everything-wise, which is almost like all the challenges we're facing. But I'm going to adopt a strategy, you know what I mean? That doesn't require for me to be in the same proximity with him. Doesn't allow me to do hand-to-hand combat with him. And so he turns around and decides, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to change the strategy. And then he now uses, of course, we all know what happens, the slingshot, and kills Goliath. Ultimately, he doesn't really kill him. He hits him on the head and he falls flat and he cuts off his head with Goliath's own sword. For me, this is what strategy is all about. It's being able to sit down and say, okay, these are the giants in my life. How am I going to win? That's my whole point. And that's where I'm going with all this. And then, of course, the story of Joseph, who we're told there's going to be 7 years of plenty and there's going to be 7 years of famine. And he decides to save 20% of whatever revenue he has. But after the 7 years, people don't know that. I think I'll do this next week. People don't realize that there were other strategies that he implemented. You know, he got all the money in the kingdom. He gave people. He loaned people money. He took 20% of their revenue stream. You know, everything in that whole thing is full of nothing but strategy. My question to people this morning is, do you have a strategy to win in these times that we're living in? Have you prayed about it? Have you thought about it? Are you thinking about it? And are you consulting, reading, or even praying to determine where you want to go? So I thought we could look at that before I show you something that I had done a few years ago of a man called Chet Holmes. And I'll share that as we go along. Are you still there? Hello?
Yes, I am.
But did you get my point anyway?
Yeah, I did. I did. Wait, let me arrange my volume.
What's wrong with your volume?
Sorry, I meant my AirPods and all. There's a lot of stuff going on around here.
It sounds better now. I did.
Mm-hmm. I'm wearing earphones now.
Okay.
It makes a lot of sense. I particularly liked the first analogy, which is more of, okay, this is the battle ahead of me. This is what I'm facing. What tools do I? What of all the tools that are available? Which is likely to be the best for me? What works best for me from what is available? Which of these tools do I have the capacity to win with? Instead of not necessarily, well, exactly.
Or copying other people, which is what I'm trying not to do. I'm trying not to give a formula. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Because you don't need a formula now. You need a tailor-made strategy for you, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
totally agree with that. Totally agree with that.
But look at the story the gentleman told about Southwest Airlines. You know, about how they decided to use a different methodology, keep to the same planes. They said they kept the same. One of the reasons why they kept the same planes was so that they could easily change pilots. The air hostesses didn't need to be specialized in a particular type of airplane. You know what I mean? Because they already had a standardized, it was the same simulator. So all the pilots could easily be switched over. Their turnaround time was faster. They don't serve food. You know, yeah, and there's another gentleman whom I would introduce next week, and he said, one of the things we find out with politicians and even pastors, I'm not going to leave us out of this, is that people are very fond of telling you what their plans are, but very few people tell you what their strategy is to fulfill those plans. I'm going to build a house next year. You know, I'm going to invest. I'm going to send my kids abroad. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. But there's still no strategy at the back of their minds. And so what I'm just trying to do is really I want to create, I don't know why, I just feel I need to create an awareness, a sensitivity, a consciousness of the need for us to understand the role of strategy in our lives. And God is strategic. The Bible says Jesus was the lamb slain before the foundation of the world. I mean, somebody had a plan before we started. Somebody had thought. Somebody decided, this is going to happen. This is going to happen. I'm going to have this as a counterpoint. This is how I'm going to win. I don't know if you get my point. I think Mrs. Abiosa has joined us.
Yes, she's here.
Yes, I just I found it hard to connect. I think maybe the internet was too slow on this end.
Too
So
slow
I
in
thought,
too slow in America. We're in trouble.
I don't know what happened. It was
I'm
telling me
joking.
check this and check that, and which I did.
Oh,
I
that's
came
fine.
in. I came in when you were talking about David and Goliath and about Joseph, and it kind of makes me realize that a lot of us hop into a situation without forethought or foreplan, and then we try to succeed by copying other people's strategies, which may or may not work, and we wonder why it doesn't work, and we're happy if it works just by chance. So I'd love to hear the rest of what you have for us.
Well, I played the whole video, so unfortunately we won't be able to. But let me move forward a little bit, okay? This is something I listened to maybe 10, 15 years ago. It's amazing how relevant it still is. I was thinking of playing part of the video, but I needed to sort out all the copyright issues before I could. And it's an extremely long video, but it's by a gentleman called Chet Holmes. He's gone now, he's dead now, but he's one of the top strategists and marketers in the world. And he worked for almost 8 out of the 10 most powerful companies in the world. And there were some things he said, which I thought was really, really interesting. And I'm going to put it on the screen for you to see. He says, advertising, he says, what is a tactic? He says, advertising is a tactic. A sales call is a tactic. Your website is a tactic. An email to your prospect or client is a tactic. A trade show, an article written about you. Your brochure, your customer service are all tactics. He's trying to show us the difference. You need to really listen to him say it. He does a much better job than I can. He says, strategy is more of the long range goal, the overall impact. What the other gentleman calls what your win. He says, what's the ultimate accomplishment? What is the ultimate position you want in the market? What is the ultimate perception you want your clients to have about you, about your company? And from the little I've seen, I've just seen that these are far more important things that bring you success than a fantastic brochure or from even a good price offer. You know, I buy things a lot from Amazon, and I found out that the cheapest is not always the best, even if it's the same product. You find that you want to make sure that, I ordered, for instance, I needed something for this morning to be able to do what I'm doing with you guys now, because last week I couldn't play the video where you were getting the actual audio. So I had to buy a gadget that separated the video from the audio so I could channel the audio somewhere completely different. And I figured that out yesterday. And I figured it out on Friday. And I quickly ordered for it on Amazon and made sure that delivery came yesterday for me to be able to get the thing tested. Now, I could have bought from any other people who were selling much cheaper, but I needed somebody who would deliver and who has a reputation for delivering. So these are fundamentals that are so important. And so what he began to list was, says, do you want strategies that can bring you 9 times more results than you did last year? Would you like to be number one in your customer's mind? Do you want to be trusted? Do you want to be respected? And these are not tangible. These are not things you can measure. These are not things you can count. But look at them. They're strategic. I mean, and it's so amazing what difference it makes. It says, do you want to be considered an expert? Do you want to have brand loyalty? Do you want to preempt your customers, your competition, so much that even if they reduce their prices, people will still buy from you? Do you want to have more referrals? Do you want to be more effective at a tactical level? Do you want to maximize the resources that are at your disposal? And he goes on, and he says, the reason being that we're being attacked on all sides with information, with adverts. Now, I'm going to skip a lot of, and then, of course, the cost of reaching people has tripled today. You know, he talked about the clutter factor. He said, from 1992 to 1993, people were getting 2,000 to 3,000 messages a day. He says, today we're getting 30,000 messages. Free, buy one, get one free, this, and how are you going to become a millionaire? And it says today it even costs 3 times as much to get half the results. He goes on and on and says the tactical approach will be to work harder, but the strategic approach will be to work smarter. And I love that. I just want to give you one more example and then we'll begin to round up. Again, strategy it's not what we think it is. It's getting that win. But especially for those of us who are in business, it involves getting a win in people's minds as well. And so it's bigger than just getting a win financially. But if you get a win in people's minds, you ultimately will win financially. All right? Now, it says there's the long-range goal, the overall impact, the ultimate accomplishment, the ultimate position you want in the market, the ultimate perception you would like your clients to have about your company, you know? And then, of course, it goes on. But I want to just give you one example about a shop. And I want to just give it as an example of tactics versus strategy, you know, and I love this example. I wish I could have played it for you. It would have been much more ideal for me to have played it for you. I'm just not sure if I'll get the beginning and the end properly. He says, he talked about two furniture shops. He says in store 1, the salespeople sell furniture. Sales are made. Sales are increased by raising prices or improving tactical efforts. That is marketing, Facebook adverts, buy one, get one free, all those gimmicks, all those things that all of us do. All right, like I was telling my wife a few minutes ago, I was trying to do that here. It says in the second store, they sell furniture. That's standard. They do what the first shop does. It says, but they have a strategy. They're also trained to sell the store. In other words, they'll tell you things about the store that the other one says, this store was founded by so and so. We know everything about furniture. If there's any knowledge you need about the bed you want to buy, if there's anything you need to know about the options you have about the chair you want to buy, the specialization in the chair, and you know, I should actually play this. I should actually play this for you. All right, maybe I should. I think we have a few minutes. Are you guys there? Can I do this?
Yes, we're here.
Okay, let me do this.
Yes, go ahead.
Buying criteria, the 5 things you should look for in a treadmill. It's right down to $2 and $3 million companies. And I found there's 3 types of executives. Eye doctors, right?
Eye doctors, yes.
Which we'll talk about a little bit later. That the big information to
what to work for. Never number.
And you turn to your salespeople and you go fight the enemy. Then what is the ultimate perception you want the client to have? Sales call, your website, an email to a prospect who can really manage things and get it done without you telling them what to do. That's a very, very difficult thing to find. So I like to think of this as like a military analogy. That the biggest mistake I see virtually every company is when they're too tactical. Imagine being outnumbered 10-1, as most of you are, right, in your business. Are you outnumbered 10-1 at least? You know what would really help? I put my glasses on. Oh, wow, I can see. That's so much better. So if you're outnumbered 10-1 in the field, what most of you would do, if we took it to an analogy of how you run your business, is you give your rate card or you give your price list and you turn to your salespeople and you go fight the enemy. There's very little plans going on. A lot is left up to the sales rep. A lot is left up to the individual, and not a lot of planning goes on there. So what I want to try and do is get you to really think about how you plan and how you strategize so that you will not be the tactical executive. So what's a tactic? A tactic is an advertisement, a sales call, your website, an email to a prospect or a client, a trade show, an article written about you. Public relations is a tactic, your brochure, your customer service. Those are all your tactics. So what's a strategy? Strategy is the long-range goal, the overall impact that you want to have. Strategy is the ultimate accomplishment or ultimate position you want in the marketplace. Strategy is the ultimate perception you would like your clients to have about your company. Now, does just asking those questions change how you might operate at the tactical level? Hello? Doesn't it? Think about it. Just asking those questions changes how you operate at the tactical level. And yet most people never ask those questions, never figure it out, and never do the exercise. So that's what we're going to do right now. So this first one is focused on you. What's the ultimate accomplishment or ultimate position that you want in the marketplace? Because that's how you want to be perceived. I want to be the best. I want to be known for this. I want to be the most. I want to be the most trusted, the most respected, whatever that position is that you'd like to have. And then what is the ultimate perception you want the client to have about you? So let's do a little 2-minute workshop right now and just write down your answers for that.
Pause the video now and proceed with the workshop.
If you're to achieve the strategies you wrote down, do you have to change what you do at the tactical level? Yes or no? Okay. So as Tony said, I'd like you guys to play a little more full out. So yes or no? Yes. All right, right? You can see right away. Okay, so let's go deeper. Here's more. How do your tactical efforts support and help you accomplish that position? It's another strategic question. I'm forcing you all to be strategists here. What are the strategic objectives of each tactical effort? Think about that, because most of you don't even know what that means. How many people feel really confident you know exactly what that means? About 6 people, okay? This is going to change everything. What is the strategic objective of each tactical effort? And here's an even better question. How many strategic objectives can you achieve with each tactical effort? How'd you like to get 9 times more results from the tactics you're already deploying? If you think about the questions I'm about to put in front of you, you'll be able to accomplish that. Okay, so here's an example of strategic objectives. What do you want to have happen in a sales call? I ask you, you tell me, I want to make a sale. I say, is that all? What else do you want to do? You go, well, what else is there? I want to make a sale. So I say to you, do you want to be trusted? Yes. Okay, so do you want to be respected? Okay, do you want to have deep credibility? Do you want to be perceived as an expert? Would that be valuable? How about brand loyalty? Is that a good strategic objective? Something that you should be doing on purpose? Okay, how about preempting? How about preempting your competitors so that they can't even deploy against you? Would that be a good strategic objective? Is it something you've actually worked on? Okay, so we're going to do that. Pricing comparisons dealt with. How would you like that even if a competitor deploys at a lower price, they cannot penetrate or take your client away from you? Would that be valuable? Yes. You're going to learn exactly how to do that. Are referrals a good strategic objective? Yeah. Okay, I don't know how many this is. Motivate action now. How about that? Would that be a good strategic objective? Okay, so you can see that if you just start thinking about these questions, does it make you more effective at the tactical level? How many people would like to think about those questions a little bit, right? Take some of your tactics, take a sales call and think through that kind of stuff. Is it going to improve your sales call? Yes. Okay, or your ad. If you look at these questions and you think about your advertising, is that going to make your advertising more effective? Yes. How about your website? So the strategist says, how can I maximize every single resource at my disposal? And works through these kinds of exercises to make sure that at the tactical level, they are implementing with piercing effectiveness. Let me show you an example. So here's how adding one strategic objective increased sales 600%. How'd you like to add just one extra strategic objective every time you have a tactic that would increase your sales 600%? That'd be good? Yes. Okay. So 2 furniture stores open up in a town at the same time. In store 1, you go in, you say, I'd like to buy a couch, and the person tries to sell you a couch. That is a tactical interaction. In store 2, they will sell you the couch, but the salespeople are constantly trained to sell the store. So while you're on your way to the couch, the salesperson says, first time in the store, and proceeds to strategically put ideas in your head, deliberately designed to build some brand loyalty, which I'm going to give you very exact specifics. And what happens is these two stores open up at the same time. And over a 4-year period, this store grew at 10% per year, basically based upon increasing the price of furniture. This store grew at 600% over the same 4-year period. So over time, the store developed a large loyal following and an excellent reputation in the community on purpose, not by accident. The owners of the store trained the salespeople to constantly pitch the store to every single person so that you felt a kinship about that store. And I'm going to take you through that. So the first question is, how about you? Because your products are one thing. Selling the furniture, that's what you want to do in a furniture store, right? But is it a good strategy to try and build some brand loyalty on purpose? Yes? Yes. Okay, good. So let's do a little workshop. What you should say about your company every time you interact with a client. The furniture store said the following, just to give you some ideas. They gave a brief history. First time in the store, even if you said yes, they say, well, then you know that we were founded by, and they still pitch the store. Even if you said yes. Okay, have you ever been in a restaurant where someone says first time in our restaurant? My training, I think. Probably. You know, we've been teaching this for like 20 years, and I focused a lot on the restaurant industry, teaching them that they're anybody own restaurants, by the way? Anybody in here? Okay, we got a couple of you. Your waiters are your salespeople. So they must be expertly trained on all the material that we're covering here. So they would give a brief history. We're founded by 2 brothers 45 years ago. Then they would say, we have 6 stores, so we're able to buy furniture at a much greater rate and much better pricing than anybody. We know more about furniture than any furniture store salesperson you will ever meet. I can tell you the exact construction of this couch. I can explain everything about it. So anything you want to know about this couch you're looking at, this bedroom set or this dining room set, I can tell you why it's priced the way it is and why it's designed and built the way it is. And then if you buy from us, you become part of our family. Literally, this is part of the pitch. You become part of our family. And if you get a chip in your coffee table, even if it's not our fault, like the furniture was not defective, you call us up and we will send an expert repairman out to fix that chip in your coffee table. Does that sound good? Okay. So that was it. It was just this little pitch. And of course, we have free delivery. And a lot of the stuff that they talked about, a lot of furniture stores do, they just don't talk about it. Not strategic enough. You understand? So let's do that little workshop now. Where would you put that communication, and what are you going to say? What are you going to say to sell your company, not just your product, but why they want to do business with your company? And where would you put that in your interaction with the prospect? Take a minute and do that.
Pause the video now.
All right.
Oh.
What do you ladies think?
It's fantastic. It's fantastic.
Sound like Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's fantastic.
It makes you
getting me
rethink some of
thinking.
the things you do. Exactly. Makes you rethink some of the things that you
It's making
do.
me thinking that this is not business as usual again.
Mm-hmm.
This is not just getting out there. It's putting yourself out. And
Exactly. You know, I was trying to, because we formally opened the church today to the public, and well, nobody's here yet. And we're also working on the church app. Of course, fortunately, they said it would take 2 weeks to at least get the first set of things out. And they kept giving me, you know, I should go and produce videos like this. I should go and produce adverts like that. And I just thought something was wrong. And I remember that I had been trying to talk to people about adapting. And one of the things, what people adapt is strategies that would work for them at such a time as this. And that's really what is bothering me about where we are right now. You know, I'd be happy to share my notes and on this. I haven't finished this presentation that I did. We haven't even started, because it talks about the fact that you know, this is what this guy says. He says, I mean, just put the person, there's no name, but aligntoday.com. They talk about there's no one size fits all when it comes to business strategy. Every company is different, and your business strategy will need to take your industry, its size, its market needs into careful consideration. Let me put that bigger. Sorry about that. You know, some industries are more dynamic and fast-paced than others. All right. And I love this. There was an article called "Your Strategy Needs Strategy." I love that. And that was really brilliant. Penned by 2 or 3 global strategies. And it's actually written about how the internet software industry has become a nightmare for the oil industry strategists. All right. You know, the ability to create a strategy to suit your business objectives and adapt as needed is key. The ability to create a strategy to suit your business objectives and adapt as needed is the key. I want to keep emphasizing that. This is something he said. Many formerly successful companies have seen failure in recent years because they are unable to adapt their business strategies or inspire innovative thinking in their organization. So this is not something that is limited to us. So I just thought I wanted to leave.
Okay.
I wanted to leave there. I just wanted to leave that with you, and probably not. I'll do this next week, but
So can
we
you
just
stop for
wanted
me on
to,
the left? Just
you know,
right here? Yeah.
you know. So
Thank you so much.
Is this where you're going to?
Yes.
Let me take you inside.
It's okay.
somebody is.
It's okay. Thank you.
Okay, let me mute her. Yeah. Okay, I'm done that. All right. Sorry about that. Somebody's whatever was coming through. Anyway, I'm going to stop. I'm going to stop. It's 9:50 here. Can you guys still hear me?
Loud and clear.
Yeah, great. It's 9:50. I'm going to stop. Yeah, I'm going to stop. Because this is, one of the reasons why I like this video by Anthony Robbins is it makes you stop. It makes you stop and do something. And that's what I want us to do, especially this week. That's why I said I'll be happy to make these notes available and these links available, where you need to sit down and go back to your company, your product, or your service, and let's start working towards strategies that are necessary right now to help us adapt, overcome, and thrive. Because whatever we were doing before just can't work. As a matter of fact, in this presentation, there's a bit of a statement, adapt or die. It's kind of scary, It's just, there's so much to share. Brands must adapt again. We must adapt to the situation that we find ourselves. But again, there's no cookie cut version of adapting. There's no fixed way. Everybody has to adapt based on, I think my wife said it earlier on, based on what is available to you. What do you have at your disposal? What are you good at? What are the tools? David had his slingshot, and he had used it against the bear. He had used it against a lion. He knew how to fight from a distance. He knew how to pick the right stones, and so on and so forth. So that next week when we come, we can at least begin to explore, if we've been able to make that transition. All right. So I'm going to stop and just ask you guys for your thoughts as we close. Hello.
Can I ask a question, please?
Sure, Aki.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody.
Hi.
And good morning to you over there. Good evening, Pastor Isaac, Mr. Juma. Well, by the way, I don't know if you were online for our service this morning, but it was just explosive. Pastor Omishere took us through this topic of the gifts of the Spirit. because truth to tell, we're all quite confused about, well, maybe not you, but a lot of us, because I've been talking with loads of people and loads of people are confused, but he clarified so much today and it gives each of us such a huge personal challenge, but it was so clear, so wonderfully clear. It's great that it's online because we need to go back and read and everything. But anyway, that's not what I wanted to say. What I wanted to say is, to what extent, how much work do you have to do understanding the specifically Canadian environment? I mean, is your strategy and marketing going to be markedly different because you're doing that in Canada as opposed to Nigeria? I mean, I imagine it is. And so how much more difficult does that make it? Even if it's the same gospel.
I don't know if it makes it more difficult. I just think it makes it different.
Different.
But not necessarily more
okay,
difficult.
So if it makes it different and you have just arrived there, it's not a place you've lived in, you don't, well, human nature probably is the same everywhere. But there must be some specificities that you'll have to take into consideration. How will you do that?
I don't know.
Then God will guide us all the way then. Because that's the question that's been in my mind ever since you sent me that first presentation. I've been like, yeah, but we don't know those people.
Yeah, I know. But I do know that human needs are the same, you know. Once, like you said, once you get past that initial war, because that's part of what I'm talking about this morning, which is strategy. I found out that people really, I think it was this late poet who was a friend to Oprah, I've forgotten her name, is that people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. There's a sense in which, you know, for me, it's not a matter of teaching people stuff. It's about caring for them, that you're able to help them to deal with the issues that they're facing, you know. So for me, it's and when you take a church like ours, which is the Bridge Network, I think sometimes we forget that the key word there is bridge, is bridging the gap, it's making sure you connect. I may not be able to give you the solution, but I should be able to connect you with who will give you the solution or get you the solution. So for me, I'm not trying to be the supplier, I'm just trying to be the bridge. And that for me is the primary, you know, and that's what I've been all my life. As I was walking to the shops, I take a walk every day so that I can stay healthy. So I walk about 1 kilometer and back. And as I was going, I just had this clear word: you are a resource, you know, and that's what you are. You're supposed to be a resource for people to be able to get what they need, you know. And I think somehow I've played that back, you know, and I feel that's something that we need to emphasize here in Canada, you know, that that's what we are, a resource for you. You know, you need something, we're here for you, and we're going to be. And that's what I'm looking at, and that's what I'm re-strategizing, adverts, outreaches, and so on and so forth to accommodate that. Thank you for the question, Nikki. Thank you. We've run out of time. It's 9:57. We're going to be moving into the network service at 10:30. So I want to thank you all for being here. Like we normally do, we're not going off. We're just going to switch to another service. Another service. We're going to switch to another service. But I wanted to play us out, so to speak, with the. Apparently, I didn't get it ready on that particular video, but I think it should be here. Let me thank you all for being here. I just want to play a song, and then I'm going to play us out after that. All right? Anybody have anything else they want to say? All right, thanks. I'm going to play us out and then I'm going to stop live streaming.
Oh, how beautiful it is to see you moving. Oh, how beautiful it is to see you move. You've poured out your spirit on every heart. You've sent forth your word, and it's come to pass. What our fathers and mothers could only foretaste is now in our lifetime. The order of day, eyes are unveiling, hearts are aligning, dead bones are rising, His spirit is moving, eyes are unveiling, hearts are aligning, dead dreams are rising, His spirit is moving, He's breaking addictions, yes, and breaking religion, yes, His spirit is moving, His spirit is freedom, eyes are aligning, dead bones are rising, His spirit is moving, His spirit is freedom, He's breaking tradition, and breaking religion, His spirit is freedom, His spirit is moving, oh, eyes are aligning, hearts are aligning, dead bones are rising, His spirit is moving, eyes are unveiling, hearts are aligning, dead bones are rising, spirit is moving, He's breaking traditions, yes, and breaking religion, His spirit is freedom, His spirit is moving, yes and amen, yes and amen, yes and amen, 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 yes and amen, His spirit is freedom, His spirit is freedom, His spirit is freedom, His spirit is freedom, yes and amen, amen, yes and amen, yes and amen, oh, He said it, He has done it, He's breaking addictions, yes, and breaking religion, yes, His spirit is freedom, His spirit is moving, so yes and amen, yes and amen, 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 yes and amen, amen, yes and amen, You've poured out your spirit on every heart. You've sent forth your word, and it's come to pass. What our fathers and mothers could only foretaste is now in our lifetime the order of day. Just receive, amen, amen. Just receive, amen, amen. You can just receive, amen, amen. You can just receive, amen, amen. Just receive, amen, amen. Just receive, amen, amen. You can just receive, amen, amen. You can just receive, amen, amen.
You are rebuilding the ruined walls. You are reclaiming your design. You descend as fire to purify. You are reclaiming your words. You prune as the thistles and the thorns fall away, so we may produce good fruit. For the harvest is here. The Lord has said it, and He has done it. You have said it, God.
Thank you for being here. We'll see you. Welcome. This is the Bridge Network, City Church, Canada. We're so glad that you're here with us today. Our vision is outstanding life in service to God, transforming the world. We invite you to come for the word, and we know that you will stay for the kingdom. The Bridge Network City Church, Canada, is based in Vancouver at the moment, where we're starting out. And we believe so strongly in connecting to each other, to community, and of course to God. And to be a part of this, everything you need to know about how to give, how to support, how to contact us is right there on the screen in front of you. The number is 1-604-600-7940. The website is thebridgenetwork.ca. We look forward to hearing from you. We thank you so much for being part of what we're doing today. And remember, the Bridge Network City Church Canada is here